Welcome back to another exciting episode of A Love Like That. I know usually my husband opens the show, but tonight, for special reason due to our super special guest, I get the honor.
How's that pressure feel?
So loud. Anyways, but I wanted to bring this special couple on because they have been married for over 40 years at this point. I'll let them get into the details, specifically how long, but also because they are the reason for me being here tonight. So I wanted to welcome to our show. Of course, you all know my lovely co-host, my husband.
Yeah, I'm husband.
Sorry.
I'm husband. I'm Brandon. But listen, yeah, I think my wife is so excited that she just can't contain her excitement. So
That's right.
I think it's safe to say that we are thrilled to have your parents
We
on
are
the show,
thrilled, yes.
and we have Mr. and Mrs. Atkins,
Yeah.
okay, known as Millenfield to me. What's up,
Good
everybody?
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, how are we all doing today?
Great.
Good.
Good. Thank you for coming on to the show. I think we've been waiting to do this one for quite some time. This has been a long time coming, and I'm glad.
Journey.
Yeah, exactly, and we're happy just to have you guys on. Like I know I could have like a million one questions, but like I said, Jackie is running this ship here today, so I'm gonna let her finish being the captain, and I'll let you start with the questions, babe.
Finish being the captain. All right. Well, I mean, with an introduction like that, I'll turn it over to you guys to just kind of give us a little insight to how we got here and what your story is.
Okay, our story starts, I guess, with my decade of the 70s, which was a real roller coaster for me. I got graduated from high school in 71. I got married to the person I dated in high school in 73. I became a mother in 75. We were separated in 77 and 79. We were divorced. And so at the end of 1979, on December 31st, I was attending a church where you wrote a letter to God at the end of the year to look forward to what you wanted for the next year. And so because I did not want to raise my 4-year-old daughter as a single parent, I wrote a letter to God and asked for just one thing. I said, "Dear God, please send me a man to love me and love my child and help me to raise her to be a responsible adult." I left the letter at the church and I went on back to my life. I shared it with my coworker who had become my best friend, that I had written this letter and what I wanted. And she said, "Well, you're not going to meet anybody at your house. You don't do anything but stay at home and take care of your daughter. Every weekend you've got to go out." So, and she invited me to go to a party with her. It was February the 2nd, 1980, exactly 33 days after I had written the letter. And so I went with her, and that is where I met your daddy. At that party. I was on one side of the room. He was on the other side of the room, and we really didn't interact at the party.
Mm-hmm.
I was dancing on one side. He was, I guess, interviewing. I heard people over on the other side asking them to tell them about themselves in 25 words or less. One of the young ladies I
Oh
went,
wow.
he was giving
That's your line?
questions.
That was your line?
But I had my eye on her.
So we didn't really interact at the party, but then I had to go to the restroom. So I came from one side of the room, and he came from the other side of the room, and we met at a spiral staircase. You know about spiral staircases, you can't really go down.
Right.
You have to kind of
Take turns.
takes turns. So I started going down, and he followed me down, and we were talking, and he had on a hat. And I said, "I like your hat." And he said, "Would you like to see the hat again?"
Gracias.
And I said,
That's one of the
"Well,
best lines
be
ever.
on you." And he said, "Be on me." And so I reached the restroom, and I said, well, I don't have, he said, can I have your number? I said, I don't have any paper. So I went inside the restroom and I got this piece of toilet paper
Yes.
and I wrote,
You got it.
I love
I
it.
wrote my name on the toilet
Let
paper
y'all see that.
and
That's very valuable toilet paper now.
I'm telling
he kept that in his wallet and he called me on, that was Saturday night, February the 2nd. He called me and I was in the restroom again and my daughter answered the phone. He said, my mom is in the restroom.
you.
And so when I came out and reached the phone, he said, you go to the restroom a lot. Every time I see you, every time I talk to you, you go into the restroom. So we chatted for a minute and made a date for the following Saturday. We went to see the Jerk. Dutch. I got the he bought his ticket. So I bought my ticket. And we went to the movies. And then I left the lights on in my car when I came out. I left my lights on and I didn't have a jumper cable. So he had to take me over to Ridgeway, which was open over in College Park at that time, to get a pair of jumper cables. And that was really his first act of service for me. He was helping me out. Um, and I later found out that that was how he shows love, is acts of service. So that was his very first act of service for me. We dated. He would come over to my house every week and we watched Barney Miller and the whole lineup of Thursday night. And I had this little teeny black and white TV. It was about a 12-inch TV.
Man,
But
right. Right, tablets, yeah.
And we would watch TV. And we just kept courting and dating through. And by June, we were engaged to be married. And then August the 2nd, 1980, we were married, which was 6 months from the day we had met. So by the end of the year, when the letter was mailed back to me from the church, and I opened it up, it said, Dear God, please send me a man to love me and love my child and help me to raise her to be a responsible adult. I had been married for 4 months. And so I knew that he was the answer to my prayer, that the Lord had sent me him as an answer to prayer. So that's how we got here. And now 42 years later, 42 and a half years, because we just celebrated our meeting anniversary on February the 2nd, we are still standing. And because we would not have August 2nd without February 2nd, we celebrate both dates. So we celebrate our meeting anniversary on February 2nd and then our wedding anniversary on August the 2nd. So it gives us twice in the year to celebrate our.
Keep the celebrations coming.
We like to celebrate in our household.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Is that how the story went when you guys met? Is she telling it exactly how it went?
yeah, that's basically it. But she didn't know that I had my eye on and I was just waiting for the right moment. That's right. It was like B.B. King said, what is his trademark? You never make your move too soon.
Right.
So I watched her go over to the staircase and I skillfully just stayed in the background and then went over and made my move and followed her down the stairs. And the rest is just commentary as she has stated.
So it was a whole plan. So you knew what the intention was going to be, and it worked out.
Yeah, right.
That works. That works. That works.
In the pudding.
I think that's that's pretty. But I think it's what's really awesome that they still have the toilet paper that was written down on. I don't think I have your number saved. I don't remember. It was 1999, but I mean 1998 or whatever case is. But I mean, I was like 15. I didn't have like a cell phone or anything.
Oh.
Nowadays, kids got cell phones like at 2. But it's totally different though. So all right, so met in February, got married in August. So what I want to ask you is, what was it? I mean, did you let it be known that that was your intention? That your intention was to you know, marry her at a certain time point, or was it just you just felt it and just said, "Hey, this is what I want to do."
Well, you have to can't rush things. You have to sit back and let the Lord do what He does, and so things just materialized, and it takes a while when you're mixing stuff together, and so I saw the integrity of her character and other things, and I knew that this was the one because when opportunity knocks and you see a diamond, you can't just let it continually be up.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's real though. I mean, when you see the diamond, it's like, hey, seize the moment, and because it's potential.
I don't think originally when we met, he was coming into the relationship looking for a wife because
Okay.
he was really, he was one of those Mr. V's guys. If you've been in Atlanta long enough to know, Mr. V's was a place where you go, and so every single Friday night he went to Mr. V's. There was the buffet. He went for the buffet.
Okay.
And when we first started dating, I knew I would see him. On Thursday, we had to watch Barney Miller and all those, but on Friday night, he wasn't going to be there. I might see him for the weekend, but Friday night, I knew he was going to
He had a
be
standing
a
appointment.
standing appointment. And then, gradually, as we continued to date and just continued to see each other, he stopped going to Mr. V's on Friday night. So it was a gradual evolution. He also, I think, had other people that he was also still involved with, and eventually they fell off. So I think we just kind of grew into the fact that we were going to be, because at first I was his friend.
Okay.
This is my friend Janice. Then I remember when he first said, "This is my girlfriend." And then he said, "This is my fiance." So it was a progression of our relationship developing, and I think that because it was God ordained,
Yeah.
in my mind, destiny brought us together. I think that's why uh, when the 6 months came, we knew, okay, we just planned our wedding and got married and went on with our lives.
Right, because I knew what to look for because I had been married for a very short period of time, uh, a couple of years before, and it only lasted basically 6 months. And to be honest with you, it shouldn't have lasted that long,
Gotcha.
much, much shorter.
Gotcha.
But I knew what I didn't want, and I knew quality when I saw it. And so the Lord works in mysterious ways, His wonders to perform. And so it weaved together, and I saw a beautiful person, not only on the outside, but much more where it's more important on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
A godly woman that you could have a future with.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so on our show, it's called A Love Like That. So we ask all our couples when they come on, what is a love like that? So the Atkins, what is a love like that?
Okay, I would say reciprocal.
Mm.
I've been in some relationships where I was the one who loved and I didn't get that quality of love back. Then I've had some people that wanted to be in a relationship with me that I didn't have that same feeling for. But with my husband and in our relationship, I love him, he loves me back. I take care of him, he takes care of me back. So I say reciprocal because I give to him and he gives back to me. It's a very even balance of give and take, give and take. Sometimes I'm the one taking care of him. Sometimes he's the one taking care of me. Sometimes I'm the one that is doing something, then he's the one that's doing it. So what I like about our relationship is that I can depend on him and he can depend on me. And we are in our premarital course, he the minister talked about being in the yoke with someone. You know how oxen pull together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have to go the same direction.
Right.
You can have one ox that's going this way and that way. And so I think that what we decided then was that we were going to be in the yoke and that we were going to pull together. And so when I think about us and I think about the Teddy Pendergrass song, It's Good, loving somebody.
Somebody loves you
Somebody
back.
loves you
Right.
back. So
Yeah.
I love him. He loves me. I take care of him. He takes care of me.
My word would be dependable, and I would like to add to that being equally yoked. And to expound upon that just a little bit, not only pulling together through life, but being equally yoked in the eyes of the Lord. I believe in the Lord, and she believes in the Lord, Jesus Christ, and that's where we have united and have our three-strand cord: God, her, and me. And a three-strand cord is not easily broken.
I love that. I love that. So we I've met you all what 98, 99. So I've seen you guys like for a lot of years, a lot of years. And the one thing I've always seen is united, loving, always working to make sure that everything is balanced. And which is what every couple aspires for. But I understand that it takes work to get to that point. What would you say? How was it when you first got married? How was the balance of everything, and how did you guys make that shift as time went along?
I think that initially when we were married, I knew he was the man I was supposed to be with, but I didn't know how to be with him because I did not understand how he was saying that he loved me because we had different love languages. His love language is acts of service. So he was busy doing things for me, but not with me.
Mm.
And so I have quality time as my love language and also
Okay.
words of affirmation. So he was doing things for me, but then we didn't have specific time when he did things with me. And so I was feeling left out. And I used to talk about the totem pole of his life and that I needed to be at the top of his totem pole.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, he was hunting and he was fishing and he was skiing. He has a lot of activities. He's a very active guy. So he's hunting and fishing.
He's a
But
manly
he
man.
was not doing it with me. I felt like I was left out of his life. And so it was a struggle to kind of establish the rhythm of us, because I was raising children and getting caught up in my work requirements, but we weren't having intentional time. And so we went to counseling, and that was what the minister said to us, that we needed to have some intentionality in our relationship. And so my husband established that every Friday we were going to just do something just us. And when y'all were little, it means that we had to get a babysitter. Or when Jasmine got old enough, my oldest daughter, she was able to stay with y'all. But we just had to just cut out some time every week to just do things together. And now that has been established that, we don't have anything else that happens, that we have one day a week when we just go off and we do things together every Friday. And it's our time just to connect and just have time together.
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, with that being said, you talked about it being intentionality, and we
Yes.
talk about that all the
Yes,
time
yes.
about being intentional. That is like the biggest word that I think that we say. One of the more important things about a marriage is being intentional. Um,
Absolutely.
how how do you find, or how have you found success with being intentional, especially in the moments where, I mean, just in marriage, sometimes, you don't feel like being intentional, it's just like, but out of that, I'm still going to work on being intentional no matter what's going on with me. How have you been able to find the rhythm where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm still, no matter, in spite of whatever, I'm still going to honor my role as the wife, honor my role as the husband, and still do for him, do for her, service aspect, because that's what intentionality is. That I believe is a service. And so I want to get your thoughts and opinions on that,
I think that one thing that has been a blessing for us is neither one of us has been in that same spot at the same time. So if one of us is having whatever, the other person is the one that is still carrying on. So if I'm upset about something, he's not upset at the same time as me.
Yeah.
So he's the one that says, we really do need to stop and talk about this. Somebody has to be the reasonable person and that holds it together. So luckily for us, we haven't gotten to the point where both of us were just ready to throw in the towel and say, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's just throw it all away. One of us has to be ready to carry on and do the right thing.
You bring the Lord into it, and you talk things out, and you pray together.
Yeah, I think that is really what we can do is just stop and say, we really do need to pray about this. And it's you stay there and then you hold hands and seek the Lord and ask him to come and guide your
Right. And a lot of
direction.
times things don't come naturally like that. And to see down through the years we've taken many different classes and availed ourselves of programs at the church for married couples. And, in there you can gain a lot of different techniques and tools for your toolbox. You may not need them now, but it's just like you have a toolbox out in the garage. You're not using it now, but
Right.
just in case if you need to adjust something, you can go into that tool box and use some of those resources that you've learned, but you have to be willing to go. And I think so many times guys tend not want to go because when we first started going to those, I didn't necessarily uh, want to go. You hear love is supposed to conquer all, but you really need those resources, and seeing other people and what they've been through and what they've survived. The Lord puts people in your path that you need to show you that, hey, we got through it and this is how we did it and we depended upon the Lord. And so it has been good.
I think a lot of times when we go to marriage retreats or classes or enrichment, we are probably the most have the most years of marriage. And people say, well, why are you here? You've been married for 40 years. Why are you here? And it's because we decided when we got married that we wanted to stay married. We both came out of broken first marriages. And so we wanted this marriage to last. And so we seek out ways that we can continue to enrich our marriage. And if we have a good marriage, we can make it better.
Right.
But we haven't gotten to a point where we just decided, we know all about marriage. And so we need to stop going, stop being in the realm of what can we do to make our marriage better.
Right. We're not perfect people. I know I'm not. And we may not have a perfect marriage, but we're willing to work at it
Exactly.
and to pray and to study the word together and to worship together. And so that helps a lot. That's the foundation of our marriage.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I have a question.
Okay.
Not, but it's for you.
Oh.
How would you describe your parents growing up, and how would you describe their marriage from your eyes as little Jacquelyn?
Oh wow. As little Jacqueline, I remember, going on vacations. I remember, what is that Luther Vandross song where is it
Never
Thousand
too
Kisses
much.
or Never
Never
Too
Never
too
too
much.
much.
Yeah, it's several times if they were, on different sides of the house, cleaning up, doing something, it would come on. They turn it up and then they would come from wherever and just dance in the middle of the house. So I mean, I remember, you know, not saying it's always harmony, but I didn't see my mom and dad like fighting. I didn't see, um, we said I saw a strong just push for family and, being together and, also with since, my dad was working 24-hour shifts, um, when we would come home, if he was, if that was his off day, he may have dinner ready. I saw not, necessarily having to fall into maybe like traditional norms in terms of, oh,
Gender.
only one gender roles, exactly, in terms of only this person cooks, only this person does that. I think just balance and shared responsibility and everybody, pinching in to do what needs to be done for the household overall. But I remember the dates, on Fridays. Now, I mean, we know, hey, Friday they're going to be at the movies, they're going to Costco, this is
Right.
the thing. But I remember even just if my dad was coming back from a trip or something, just my mom making sure that she prioritized that time in coming back. So I just saw a good balance of, you know, prioritizing your marriage, but also in the balance of just with everything else that kind of comes with life.
Okay. How does that make you both of you all feel hearing that?
We wanted them to see a positive role models for marriage because we knew that what what I had seen as my parents. My parents were married for 48 years before my father's passing. So I had seen them, may have times together and celebrate their anniversaries and do things. So we wanted them to see a positive role model of marriage because we wanted them to grow up in a household where they felt like they were valued, but also we wanted them to see affection with us. I used to watch on TV and the man would come home and kiss his wife,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted that for myself. And we decided when we were married, we were going to kiss each other hello and goodbye. So there were things that we wanted our children to see that we thought would help them to feel like they had positive role models. So I'm glad that it worked.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Sure, for
Right,
sure,
I
for
agree
sure.
with everything that she just said.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. That listen, I think that's great. No, but seriously, in order for you to create something that you want your children to see, you have to be what you want them to see. You actually have to be it.
Mhm.
And so that's something I think is important because you can try to put on a facade, but after a while it'll start to kind of crumble. You actually have to be it in order for it to sustain. And so I think that's that's really important. That's something that we try to model for for your grandkids. That they feel that love and that they see that.
Mhm.
They know that mom and dad are they actually like each other.
Right. That's important.
So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So if you could go into a time machine
Hmm.
and you could say to Janice in 1980, and you could say to Alfonso in 1980, if you guys could time travel back right now, what would you tell each other? If you could help predict the
To change what happened or to
well, no, not to change, but like I said, but knowing now what you know, is there anything that you would want to tell your younger self?
that he's telling you that he loves you if you just look.
Hmm.
Because he was telling me that he loved me, and I just had to become bilingual. I was so busy wanting his presence instead of seeing what he was doing all the time to show me that he loved me. And so I think that the whole idea of figuring out what your love language was the pivotal point in our marriage. Now that I know his love language is acts of service, I do things for him because that's how he receives love. That's how he shows it. And so if I want him to know, like right now he's getting ready to go on his trip. So I've been trying to do things to help him to get ready to go on his trip. Um, or bring him his food or do things for him because that's how he receives, because that's how he shows love.
Yeah.
So I would tell that young lady, just open your eyes, he's showing you he loves you. And it was really eye-opening for me to see that, he would leave an apple out on the stove for me, that because I love apples. So I would come down and there would be an apple on the stove. That was him saying, okay, I'm putting that there for you before he would leave to go to his job he had to leave at 7 o'clock. I mean, to be somewhere at 7 o'clock. So he would leave sometimes before we would get ready to go out. But he'd stop and put an apple he was saying, okay, that's for you.
Right.
I'm thinking about you. I know you like an apple. So he'd leave me an apple on the counter. And that's what I tell little Janice. Open up.
That's right.
He's showing
It's
you.
right in front of you.
It's right in front of
Better
you.
get
Right,
you the
right. I
fresh
guess what I
ground.
would say is, I guess I would learn sooner to try to love her in the way that she wanted to be loved. Because the acts of service was my love language, so I was doing it and saying, "Well, you should appreciate this. You should appreciate me washing the car and the vacuuming and so forth and so on." So, but that's all part of the learning curve,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so since
I
no,
think we're bilingual now
That's good.
because he does give me time. Like, for instance, he's going to be leaving on Friday for a trip.
Mhm.
So we won't be together on Friday. So he said, let's just do our Friday on Thursday. So he wants to give me the time, even though he won't be here on Friday. So um, he knows that that'll be the last time we get to do that. And then he'll be gone for, his trip. But he wanted me to have the time. So I
Right.
appreciate the fact that, even though he knew we won't be together on Friday, I know that you want to be have this time, so let's do it on Thursday. So
Right.
that's how he has had to just become bilingual, understand what I want, but still do what comes. His first language is acts of service, but
Yeah.
he has become bilingual. He does know that I want to have some quality time, and so he's starting to give that to me as well.
That's good. That's good. I think a certain young lady has inherited that quality time love language. Um,
Night.
she will let me know. She will let me know. um, Babe, uh, when are we? And I'm like, okay, you know what? You're right. Let me go ahead and put this aside right here. Let's make sure we get this thing going. So, it is important. You know, you have to pour into each other
Mm-hmm.
and to really reciprocate that. Because that's how it keeps it going.
Right.
That's how it keeps it
Like we
going.
always, talk about just after couples have, been married for so many years and maybe they didn't necessarily have the balance, it was kind of one-sided in terms of just pouring everything into the kids and then they kind of forget about each other. So when their children leave the house, then they've not wasted time, but they've lost so much time that they really don't know what to do at that
Yep.
point. So just definitely, you know, prioritizing and finding the balance and in all things is, something that I always appreciate that you guys, did because it's withstood the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
And still prioritizing and, still making that time for each other. So
Mm-hmm.
you definitely want to continue to pour into each other because, I mean, when the children leave, guess who's left standing? So,
right, right. We learned that in one of the classes your mate has to be number one your priorities because the kids will come and go. So very good.
Yes, yes, yes. One thing that I know that we have talked about on past episodes that we took from you guys, just something that we noticed or that we had discussed that you guys did, and we love the idea, and now, do that on our
We
anniversary
adapted,
too,
yeah,
right?
we took it.
Is the State of the Union. And I thought that was, the president comes in, he gives the State of the Union, all of that, so it makes sense. So can you talk a little bit about how you guys, um, I just even came up with that, and then,
I think that that was probably something that I shared with him just from the fact that I knew that the president did that. And I just, I'd like to kind of do quirky things with words, like because I became Neil to my son-in-laws.
yeah.
So I thought about, okay, the state of our union. Let's talk about the state of our union, how things are going with us, because I am a introspective person, and I think that things can't change if you haven't really looked at them to see what's going on. So we decided that we would just, on our anniversary, talk about the state of our union.
Mm.
And we don't we go over what's going well, and then we just choose one thing. We don't just have to
Right, you don't have to
everything.
lay out the
No,
whole.
just think, what's one thing that I could do that would make you happier in our marriage? And we just share that. What's one thing I could change, or what's one thing that you would like us to do differently? And I think it just kind of gives us one thing to be conscious of, that we know that the other person is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it has been a positive uh, had a positive impact, because I know that when he does things for me, um, for instance, I told him one time that I wanted him to. A lot of times when I would suggest things that we do in the house, he would just shoot it down immediately. No, we can't afford to do that. No, 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 we're not going to do that. And I said, I just want you to say, well, think about it. Just don't shut it down and say, no, no. And so now I said to him, I'd like to paint the house. And he said, well, think about it.
Oh, that's right.
They said we'll get it painted this summer.
I'll pick now.
But his response was not, no, no, we don't need, we just paint it. He said, we'll think about it. And I knew he was doing that because I had said, don't just shoot it down from the beginning.
Yeah.
Just make me at least know that you're going to consider and give some value to something that I suggested. So,
She'd rather have a slow yes than a fast no.
correct.
I like that.
That's what that is. I think that.
So I think the whole idea behind that was just to give us an opportunity to see what's going well, and to think about one thing we could do differently. And I am cooking more because that was his request, that I would cook more. And so I have been doing that.
That's awesome that you guys can, have that safe space to even be able to tell each other, hey, this is, one thing, and then
Right.
love the person enough to want to, okay, well, let me, try to do more of that.
Because there are
So,
couples that some of them do not feel comfortable being able to tell their spouse that.
right.
And that's so the fact that you guys are able to have that circle, that level of comfort, or as we call it, the bubble,
Right.
to have that, I think is really good. It's important. How would you say 42 years into marriage,
Mm-hmm.
it is still ever evolving for you too?
I think we've got to a sweet space now, where there are things I know that he wants me to do that I do. he does things that he knows I want him to do. I think we've gotten to the point where I don't want to say we're on autopilot because you can't be on autopilot.
Right.
But there are things that he just does instinctively now and things I do instinctively. So I don't know that we're so much evolving. It's just um, focusing on what we know has worked and trying to make sure that continues to be a part of our relationship. What would you think, sweetie?
I would think what you just said.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
There you have it, folks. That is the answer of a smart man, a man who has been married for 42 years.
There you go.
And you can never go wrong with that answer. I aspire to be you. I aspire to be you. I think that's but seriously though, I think that's really what it is. So you guys, you understand the meshing of each other, and just you know it meshes well, and that's the synergy in the flow.
He used to say we fit together like a hand in glove. You know, you put a glove on and it just fits. And so that has been how we have come together.
Right.
A hand in glove.
Right.
And glove.
Famous words of that great poet, Levi Stubbs in the Four Tops.
Right.
But it fits because songs are written about situations and about things that happen in life.
Yeah.
So it's that poetry of life that's set to music. So
Yes. So as we kind of come to a close, is there any kind of parting words, for
For the
just
hopefuls out there.
for the hopefuls, this next generation of married people, just, anything that you just want to leave us with?
no.
Until next time, because we're gonna have you guys back.
But they say
Zoom in on his face.
I think that what I would share is, a lot of times people talk about how have you stayed married for so long. And I read somebody that had been married for 50 years. He said, I came up in a time when you didn't throw away things that were broken, you fixed them. So I think that a lot of times people just dispose of things and figure, this is not working for me. You're not making me happy. And so, I'm not sure I can do bad all by myself. And, there's a very self-centeredness about some people and you can't be self-centered in a marriage. You have to come to the marriage ready to try to figure out what needs to be done to satisfy the whole. His first inclination was not to spend time with me. He thought he was showing he loved me, but he had to see that that was what I needed, and so make that adjustment. So a lot of times people just need to figure out what they need to do to make whatever they consider an irreconcilable difference, how they can resolve it. So I don't think there are some things that are irreconcilable. If somebody's not treating you well, abusing you, the fact that somebody goes hunting and you don't think hunting is a sport,
then
that's not irreconcilable.
Elmer Fudd may beg to differ.
Right. I married a hunter whose mother had cleaned his game and cooked it. And so the very first year we were married, he brought the little bunnies home. And I screamed because I didn't want to see them. And so what we had to do is now he just, tells me to go out to the kitchen while he cleans the game himself. And so it wasn't irreconcilable. It was just a difference.
Right.
Of
It was
upbringing.
right. Compromise and
Right.
finding that happy
Right.
medium.
So it's something he enjoys that I do not. And so he does it, and I don't judge him for it. I just told him I just thought it would be fair if the rabbits also had guns and they were equipped and they could shoot.
But
But
when the world chaos comes,
Right, y'all.
we're talking about irreconcilable
Grant
difference
have
that
the
was.
rabbit.
So that was not irreconcilable.
Right.
I had to allow him to be who he is, enjoy what he wants, and now he just doesn't involve me in it. He goes hunting. I say, how did it turn out? He says, I didn't get anyone. And I say, oh, good.
They live to fight another.
They live to fight another day. But it's not irreconcilable.
Right.
So that's what I would say.
Right.
Look for what you can work out.
Mm-hmm.
And don't always be so self-centered that you're just thinking about what's good for you, thinking
Right.
about what's good for us.
That's major.
The church said amen.
What's good for us.
let's see. One thing I would like to touch upon is that causes great problems in a lot of marriages is money. And we worked out a system where we could deal with money that would be good for the family first, then for her and myself.
Mhm.
So we take our money and we have three pots. The bigger pots is for the overall good of the household, pay for everything related to the household, gas, lights, furniture, everything else. And then we have our smaller pots for disposable income, hairdos, and maybe a fishing rod here and there, fishing rod, and so forth. And I think it keeps down a lot of problems that other people have
Yeah.
because it's a constant tug of war over money and so forth. And it eliminates a lot of arguments. Um,
So I don't have to hide bags. I think people hide bags in their trunk.
Yeah.
Try to keep from. So I don't want him to know I spent money on this
Mhm.
because I have my own money for that.
Mhm.
I can go get my hair done and I don't have to get my nails done or whatever has to be done.
First of all, you have to be a strong enough believer to know that the money is not yours anyway. The money is God. God gives us the ability to make money and amass wealth and to use it wisely. There are so many things that people spend money on that I wouldn't dare. But anyway, I won't go there. Talking about the lottery and so forth. But we try to honor God in giving money to the church, yes, but through the church so that it will go out to the greater good of the world at large to feed the hungry, feed the widows, offering, and a lot of good causes. And the Lord blesses and honors that. And he says, trust me in this and see if I will not open up the floodgates of heaven and pour out a blessing that you can't hardly receive. So that's important to us. Another thing is household duties and so forth. And we do a lot of things around the house, but I tend to do more stuff on the outside and vacuum on the inside, and my lovely wife does a tremendous amount of other things. So we have those things pretty well spelled out, but we help each other in those endeavors.
And that's what makes it work for
Right.
you guys.
For the greater good of the family.
And that is a love like that.
There
I
you
think
go.
that's a great way to.
Makes the dream.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it together and to wrap it up. Well, listen, thank you guys. Thank you all. Thank you, and thank you for coming on. We really do appreciate it. And now for everybody who keeps on asking about when will Jackie's parents be on, now they're on the show. So they're on the show. But listen, babe, thank you for being such an excellent host. You are, as always, remarkable and amazing. And I thank you so much. You did a great job today. And let's see. Let's go ahead and get into the shameless plugs. Okay, so make sure that you guys follow us on Instagram at instagram.com/a love like that. Underscore on Facebook at facebook.com/a love like that LLC. And make sure that you guys follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Subscribe to our iTunes. Yes, everything that she just did right there. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, our YouTube page, all the things, etc., etc., etc. Make sure that you guys sign up for our workshops, our retreats, our classes that we're going to have. We have one come up tomorrow, which we are very excited about. There's a whole slew of other things we have going on as well. And so we're excited for that. But listen, thank you guys for listening. I'm Brandon.
I'm Jacquelyn.
And this is a Love Like That podcast. Take care. Peace.